I remember my mate Lou said with 4 holes to play on the first stage of qualifying, Dixon, Tennessee. He said you had a seizure. He said and you're just totally out of the game, like you haven't got a Scooby Doo what's going on. He said, and I don't know how you got through. He said I had to actually point you in different directions. I had to get you to stand to shots. I had to say, look, just. He said it was all muscle memory. He said you were making it by miles, and he said you just went bogey, bogey, par, bogey, and made it like virtually on the number and just got in. He said, but you had no idea. And then went to second stage, got through, and then final stage was unbelievable.
Welcome back, everyone. And yes, it is another episode. We're here for yet another week. We keep rolling on with these podcasts. As you've probably noticed already, I am here alone. And a few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of talking to someone who I could quite easily call my friend, someone who I share a birth year with and have watched very closely through his professional career. John E. Morgan. Why am I wearing my cap back to front? Well, if any one of you knows and remembers how John often played, it was with a cap back to front. And when we spoke and had a really nice chin wag that actually went on for a couple of hours, hence us putting this episode over into next week. So this will be part one of a conversation that John and I had, and next week we'll be bringing you part two. And we've done that before, but in this case, there's some really good stories and some content. We think that this is a podcast that you'll just love to sit back and listen to. John, we can safely say, is one of life's good guys. He is so grounded. He's so down to earth. Made me feel extremely comfortable from the word go when I met him up at St Andrews. And when we spoke, it was in many ways like talking to an old friend. And that's just how humble and a down-to-earth and well-rounded guy he is. I won't blow too much smoke, but I just wanted to sort of set this one up. Amongst many other things, his involvement with John Powell in the Persimmon Woods company. He works for Sky Sports and is one of their many, many voices, works very, very hard to deliver a very real approach to the game of golf, the professional game of golf that resonates with all the viewers and listeners. He's met so many people, it's unbelievable, in the world of golf in his journey. And I really do, as I've said already, think that you will enjoy just putting your earphones on. And when we do finally get these out on YouTube, watching a really nice conversation unfold. The who's who from the world of golf is as long as your arm when it comes to who John knows, and very much appreciated the time that he graciously gave me a few weeks ago. And now we're going to release part one. So sit back and enjoy this one. And of course, right towards the end, we'll kind of peter things out. And then next week, we'll be bringing part two. Tended to not go down the whole, where you're from, how old were you when you first picked up a club, all that kind of stuff, because people can find that out for themselves if they look online, and you've probably said it a million times. The very fact that unless you're a rare breed that suddenly found the game as a prodigy at 20 and just suddenly nailed it within a couple of years, most of you have been swinging a club since you're a kid and had the support of your family. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we'll talk a bit about family, etc., the part it played. So if we just have a bit of a laugh, bit of a chit chat, catch up.
Yeah, mate, I'd come well shaven for you, mate. I'd come well shaven for you. Honestly, I very rarely normally I look like Father Christmas come early. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When are you next back out doing some official business?
2 weeks' time, I head out towards South Africa, mate. Yeah, head towards South Africa, and the one and only Dale Hayes' last hurrah at the Nedbank. I'm going to go out early and do a bit of safari, see some friends, a few injections in the knee. Off I go, as you do.
I've, as I said, I've got a whole bunch of questions, but I feel this is just going to be a bit of a real good listen.
Right, no worries, mate.
I've watched you at the levels when I got into golf. I mean, I was a massive Euro Pro fan. back when it was. Obviously, that's now gone.
Yeah, sure.
Tough place to play your golf, though, right? Because the prize pools weren't. I know it was only around England, etc. But the prize you had to win to get 10 grand. If you didn't get in the top 4 or 5, you were struggling. How did you get support, John, back in the early days? Was it just you funding yourself? Did you have any? Well, actually, I know what happened. Let's talk about Spain, shall we? Let's go right back to the beginning and that
Oh.
funny little buggy boy story. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, the Buggy Boy story. Oh yeah. Well, mate, I'm super lucky. Local area, a couple of golf clubs. Someone who knows a friend, knows someone, got me a job. Off I go to Spain, and got like a winter job. I'm able to drive buggies around, give them to the punters playing at La Cala Golf Club in southern Spain on the Costa del Sol. Met up with another bunch of lovely lads and girls, from Sweden to Denmark to Ireland, Northern Ireland, you name it. And they've gone on to great things. Robbie Cannon, he's coach, trainer for Shane Lowry. You got Steve Crooks, my mate, lovely Steve. He became the head pro at Hollywood Golf Club, mental, really. And then Robin Symes, who played for Ireland and coached a lot of the Korean team, ladies, we all went on to different things. But this bloke turned up, we're on a putting green. Anyone want to be in a commercial? I'll give you 50 quid for half an hour's work. All our hands went up and he picked me and off I went. And just madness, really. Give me 10 balls to hit in front of a camera. First time I've ever been on a camera. And I hold 2 of them from 100 yards, 90 yards, 100 yards over water. But pin was in a nice location. It all gathered towards this flag, but it was like I was pin seeking, and I hit the flag once as well. I was just all darting around the hole. I'm just a freak of nature. And he just said to me afterwards, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm just down here practicing. I played for Somerset. I'm from southwest of England, Bristol area, and I'm in the England training squad at the moment. Blah blah, all this jazz." And he said, "Can I see you tomorrow?" And I honestly, I thought he wanted my body. I really did. I thought he had this kind of accent. He was German, lovely guy. And I just thought, don't know, something's doesn't sit right here. And next day, he come up with a folder and he said, "You want to have a read of that?" And so I tried to read it, but I'm dyslexic, so I just couldn't make heads or tail of it. And literally, I said, "Can you help me read it?" And then he told me, and it was like, "Really? Nah, this doesn't happen. This is like fairy tale stuff." And literally, he just laid it all on the line, just saying, I'll fund it a lot, and I want to see you do well, and I think you're a little hidden talent, and let's give it a go." And after that, never looked back.
Amazing.
Never looked back. It was freaky, absolutely freaky. I owe him everything, really, because this game's too expensive, isn't it?
Absolutely. It really is, isn't it? Unless you're at a certain level or winning certain things, it is. I mean, as I said to you up in Scotland when we met at the Alfred Dunhill, sponsored Ben Evans for a few years.
Oh, good player, yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard, really hard, because I knew what it cost to play on a weekly and a yearly basis. Not a million times different from the Challenge Tour, what's now the Hotel Planner, to the DP, what was the European Tour, and yet you're going all over the world, decent venues, and the prize pools completely different. So
It is, man. I mean, I had 3 jobs. I worked in a steel factory, worked making filing cabinets, cutting corners on bits of steel. I was working behind the bar at my local club, Clevedon, and I was doing odd jobs with some work colleague, cash in hand, like building, some dry stone walls and crazy paving and stuff like that. Just a bit of tree surgery here or there. Just anything you could do, and it was just. That's what funded me to get out there in the first place to Spain to meet this, accidentally meet this lovely guy. So, yeah, it's like you say, mate. And with Ben Evans as well, just talking about him, it's more between the head for Ben because he's some player. You know what I mean? It's just got his head. He's not got out of that zone that he needs to be, out of, if you know what I mean, and getting a comfort zone on the bigger level. So, I feel sorry for Ben in a sense. Hopefully, something magical happens for him, but you never know.
No. And I think that's one of the conversations that we had about the kind of wasted talent, I don't know, would you call it mismanagement or even individual expectations of these kids coming out of a quality amateur career, uh,
Yeah.
in terms of guiding them and mentoring them. And you know, I think we'd had a conversation. You said something like, "Oh, it's quite funny," because my wife had said something similar to that. Have you given any more thought to potentially going down that route?
Yeah, you know, it dangles a carrot. Lots of my mates just say, John, you got to have a go. You got to have a go. Even the lovely one and only Sam Torrance, after I played a few games with him, don't mean the name drop, but he's a lovely bloke, like they all are.
Yeah,
I'm lucky, I'm blessed with working alongside a load of great people, but Sam turned into a really good friend. And when we played, he said, John, you got to give it a go. I mean, I'll cross that bridge. I'll see how the body feels. You know, the body's been attacked over the years through many ways,
yeah.
shapes or form. And, you know, I don't know what the pressure will be like, because as much as I love pressure, love the vibe of it, it seems like it doesn't like me. You know, it creates different things. So, you know, I'll have to cross that bridge when it comes to it. But I hit it long enough, I hit it good enough. I chip and putt well enough, a bit streaky on the greens, probably need to improve that. But that's the trick, isn't it? You go away and work on your weaknesses instead of working on your strengths.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're a classic, I suppose, example of how things can change so quickly. Um, it's interesting because you think about that with football. I don't know if you're a football fan, um, coming from down your neck of the woods.
More rugby, but my
Well,
granddad played for Bristol Rovers and Bristol City.
yeah,
So,
but
yeah,
you
bit
see
funny.
these football players nowadays earning stupid amounts of money, and on one
Yeah,
side, it's not right and not fair considering doctors and surgeons, etc., etc. But on the other hand, is their career can be over in a season or half a season
yeah.
with a bad, and so they need to pocket as much as they can. Do you, do you think when it comes to players, golf players, yeah, these young kids, that they need guidance more perhaps nowadays than they did before, or do you think they've just always needed good
I
people
th-
around them?
yeah, I think, yeah, you need guidance. I mean, I needed it. Loose cannon, massive loose cannon. Not used to it. Not used to this whole on the road job. Born and bred. You know, local boy. And just literally, you need experience. You need help in that domain, but also you need to be able to constructive criticism. You got to be able to take it. Do you know what I mean? I think there's a lot of people now can't listen to the truth. They don't want to hear the truth. They like everything. All the sun shone right at them, and blown in all the right directions for them. But it doesn't work like that. It don't work like that. It's the only way you learn is fighting the hard fight. You know what I mean? You got to listen sometimes to the stuff you don't really want to listen to, and understand it and move on and adapt. Um, I always base myself around people that would tell me the hard truth, and I like the hard truth. I
Yeah,
really did.
yeah,
I felt like I learned a lot by someone telling me, getting up in my grill and saying, "Oi,
yeah,
what are you doing, man?
yeah,
What do you think you're playing at?
yeah,
You know, come on."
yeah,
So and I like that. I like that. It made me grow as a person, made me become a better person, I think, as well. And also humbled me,
yeah,
kept me humble. I
yeah.
don't think I never became the big I am ever. I got a little bit lost, obviously, going to America and all that jazz. But, I was on my own then. You know what I mean? I didn't have everyone around me, couldn't afford everyone around me. So, yeah, unfortunately, I lost that vibe.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting you talk about America. I mean, as I said to you earlier, this isn't a chronological conversational podcast at all. But when you went out to, because you had a pretty crazy year, really, didn't you? You kind of qualified for everything in terms of tours, and you had to make a decision. Was it an absolute stonewall, no questions asked decision? If I get an opportunity with the PGA as well as the European Tour, I'm going to America. Was there a clear cut decision, or was that a guidance based one?
That was, you ain't going to believe it, right? So, it all happened through, obviously, I qualified from, I turned professional at the Europro at the beginning of the '02, and I think it was in March. And the Littles were running it, lovely couple, and Jamie and Sam Little, their sons. I've known, with England and all that jazz, and they were running this thing, and we were down at Saunton. I qualified, and da 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 da. All of a sudden, Eddie Hearn and Barry Hearns come on the scene. The Matchroom stable, they come on the scene, looking at me. I mean, I've gone back a little bit more than what you're talking about, but this is how it all unfolded.
Yeah.
So obviously, I've got my Europro, and I finished in a certain bracket in qualifying, which got you like 1 or 2 invites on the Challenge Tour.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on the Challenge Tour. I've kicked some serious ass when I got on there. Not won, but I've done really well. Like, and it's got me into the next week, got me into the next week, got me in the next week. You know, kept playing well, and then got into the big one. And I remember it because Eddie Hearn, I was going to be his first ever kind of like project. His dad had kind of said, like, you try and do the golf business, learn your stripes. So Bazza would like send Eddie off here, there, and everywhere, and Eddie turned up, and I remember the phone call. I was at my golf club, and I was just going out to play on my own, and it was amazing. You know, when we've all had these moments when the ball's on a piece of string, right? Well, and it really is on a piece of string. Like I felt like I was going to hole it from, didn't matter where. You told me I was going to hole it. And I could spin it in any way, shape or form into the hole, from wherever that position was. It felt that good.
So you are really seeing it go in, literally.
Oh, I am seeing everything. It is amazing vibe, right? And I'm not in this event, which is up the road at Bowood. And I know the golf course. I'm like, it's a big one. If you win it, you're pretty much guaranteed your European Tour card or DP World Tour card now, right? So I'm like, so your friends go, I ain't got you in, John. I ain't got you in. I went, Eddie, look, you get me in, I'll sign for you. Just get me in, you know, just chipping a chair. You know, it's like going to the casino with $1. It's like, well, double up. I'm all in. This is everything I got. And he phoned me. I got you in. Well, now I'm hairs on the back of my head standing up on end, as much as I got left anyway. And like literally couldn't wait. Got there, won it. Knew I was going to win it. Literally the vibe I felt. So then that's my European Tour card. And then Eddie goes, hey, John, we got ages to wait. This is the reason why I went to America. He goes, why not? Let's have a go at America. We've got loads of time to kill until, you know, the European Tour starts up again.
Yeah.
And I went, which it was back then, I went, yeah, let's give it a go. And then went through all 3 stages. But, you know, the 3 stages I went through came through with loads of drama, more drama. And I can't even remember the drama. I have to look at my caddy and my coach and Eddie and stuff. But, you know, how I got through the stages, I'll never know, because it came with massive complications and hurdles, stuff that I can't even remember.
Right.
Because of what with the epilepsy I have and stuff like that. But I remember my my mate Lou said with 4 holes to play on the final first stage of qualifying, Dixon, Tennessee, he said, you had a seizure. He said, and you're just totally out of the game. Like, you haven't got a Scooby-Doo what's going on. He said, and I don't know how you got through. He said, I had to actually point you in different directions. I had to get you to stand to shots. I had to say, look, he said it was all muscle memory. He said, you were making it by miles. And he said, you just went bogey, par, bogey, and made it like virtually on the number and just got in. He said, but you had no idea. And then went to second stage, got through, and then final stage was unbelievable. Just went there with no game, went down a road to a skins game the day before the tournament started. And what was it? Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, Mark O'Meara, and Freddie Couples were playing a skins game. And literally, talk about inspirational. I left with 1 hole to go. It was when Steve Williams chucked the camera in the lake, and I went back to the range with an ounce of daylight left and just copied a swing that I just seen from Tiger and felt invincible.
Wow.
And then I went to the golf course and breezed it through.
That's crazy. I mean, that is crazy. And if anyone's listening to this and just does a bit of research on some of the podcasts that John's been on and some of the articles that have been written, there's a whole host of other crazy stories. So, I mean, I can't get my head around that whole almost blacking out and still playing golf, quite frankly. I mean, that's just unreal. No,
it's happened a lot. Yeah. Yeah. It's been, you know, you got to smile at it. You got to move on. You got to move on. I'm lucky and more than most. I mean, spent a week in hospital
Yeah.
having brain scans and stuff, and the people that are around me, 10 times worse than I am, 100 times worse than I am. So, I got brain damage, yeah, but not half as bad as these other people.
Yeah. So you get you get through all three stages, and you have a decision to make. Quite frankly, I think was it a decision, or did the European tour tell you to get lost?
No, mate, you ain't going to believe it. It was, I mean, look, I've never had money, right?
Right.
I've never wanted for anything. My mum and dad have worked their cotton socks off to put me through. Dad's a doctor, mum's a nurse. Um, and like literally they worked their cotton socks off to get me where I was, and they could give me their last penny. And, it was brilliant. But Nike come along, or Callaway, I think it was, who were fighting for my signature.
Yeah.
And, it was something like, here's 50,000 if you stay in Europe.
Yep.
And here's 350,000 if you come to America.
Fair
It's
enough.
like, I mean, it was no brainer, and my old sponsor, the German guy, he lived and breathed in Miami, and he said, look, I'll get you digs in Miami.
Right.
So he got me some digs in Miami, and you had Enrique Iglesias and what's her name, Anna Kournikova opposite me.
Yeah.
I was like going, what on earth? You go downstairs and see Boris Becker in the cafe. you go around the corner and you see someone else, you're on Ocean Drive, just going, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
This is mental. Gone from Somerset to South Beach.
That's
Crazy.
crazy. And did you manage to keep, or did you have to keep a lid on your social activities? Was it purely head down golf for that year?
It did start really good. And then, I got carried away. I ain't lying. I got carried away. I was left to my own devices too long. South Beach is a crazy, lovely place. And I ventured out, and being, what was I, 23, 24, new to money.
Yeah. With the British.
On my own as well. I mean, literally, Nico Colsarts came out, and we had an absolute blinder. I mean, we rented Ferraris, Porsches, just go here, there, and everywhere, play golf. We went up to Isleworth, and that was an amazing experience. We had a game with Ty Tron, and I think it was Lee Jansen or something like that, and we had a money game, and we won the money. But in front of us was Tiger Woods and Mark O'Meara and Charles Al III, and they were playing a game. I think it was, they were playing a match as well. It was like, this is how we roll. This is mental. Do you know what I mean? This is just norm.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get me head around it, literally. And then, me and Nico just had a great time, and he ended up buying me a TV because I didn't have TV. All I had was a radio, and stuff like that. I didn't even have a car. So, we had to rent a car, and he bought me a TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm jumping around here, but it's you're talking, I'm thinking of these things I've heard and questions, etc. But was there a point when you did start to get used to it and it became the norm? And you accepted that you're not accepted you're a professional golfer, you had been for a while. And I'll tell you why I asked that. Here's the context. When you spoke to Marco a few weeks ago, he said something really, really interesting. He got caught in the lights for the first win, and then soon after he went, this is it. This is what I expect. This is how we live our lives. Team, we'll want this, we want that, we want the other. We can't guarantee wins, but let's not get caught up in the lifestyle. Let's actually go out and replicate this week after week. He's got his head switched on that, boy.
Oh, he has. You watch this space, mate. That boy's headed in one direction, and that is
to the top,
skyrocketing. Yeah.
But that's the context. Did you get to a point maybe during that year, or maybe you never did? Did you get to a point where you thought, okay, this is what we do, this is where we're at, and to perform at a certain level, or was it just different back then?
I think I already had it in place, and then I lost it a bit by going to America. I think if I'd have stayed on the DP World Tour as it is now, I would have been in a far better place, and I would have grown better as a player and got more consistent, stronger. And I think I'd have, I'd like to think I'd have had quite a few wins under my belt. My life, I think the support I'd have had closer instead of being out there on my own, doing my own thing and left to my own devices, which for a man like me, it's pretty scary to be
Yeah.
left to my own devices, you know. So I think I'd have done better being at home, but
Right.
I already had that in place, you know, and I had a lot of people I could lean on and could tell me the home truths that we were talking about earlier, you know, and say it as it is instead of me just, you know, just yeah, going about my business and trying to find something. I mean, you know, it's not a sociable environment over in America. It's very far from what we have when we play around the world. You got, you know, you can sit down on any table and everyone's there to welcome you with open arms, you know, and see how you're getting on and stuff like that. And I think that's the difference of both tours, and that's the vibe I definitely got anyway. But yeah, I think I couldn't really change anything, mate. I think I wish I could have taken what I had over to America and kept it all there in a concentrated team and kept focus and stuff. But I just got led astray. I got led astray.
Yeah. Well, it happens. You're certainly not the last, and you're certainly not the first, and you won't be the last, no doubt. Did you know a lot of guys over there on tour? Did you feel like a fish out of water? Because obviously there is certainly there was back then a marked difference between the two tours. You just talked about feeling comfortable. Was there more guys that you'd grown up playing amateur top tournaments with on the European tour compared to the PGA tour? Did you feel you had more of a family feel over here than you did when you went over there?
Well, I got a little bit lucky. So, you know, the Ryder Cup was in '02, and Sam had won it. Torrance had won it at the Belfry. So you had the likes of um, you know, Philip Price, amongst others, all coming over,
Yeah.
you know, and playing on the PGA Tour because they got their kind of way in from there, and that was quite nice. And then you had Luke Donald, our Ryder Cup captain, he was there. You know, Rosie was creeping in there as well, and that was nice because I knew these guys and able to hang out and stuff like that, and that was a bonus. But majority of all my friends, like your Dohertys and you know, and Nico and Marcel and, you know, all the guys I've got to know way out there amongst millions of others like, you know, Stormy and, you know, there's loads. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. How many people are out there? Richie Mack and Vinci and stuff. But yeah, you know, I just left them all behind, unfortunately. And that would have been nice to hang out there because the thing is, you just push one another along. You
Mm.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a, you know, it's no different to like when we were at England training camp or any of these things. You go out and you're just trying to outdo one another, and then you'd hook up around a chipping green and have chipping competitions and putting competitions and you know, shaping competitions on the range and stuff like that, and go for crazy shots behind trees when you're out on the golf course in practice rounds. Just all good cracky stuff, you know, stuff that would you didn't know was helping you, but it was
Yeah.
massively helping you.
Absolutely.
And you know, there was loads of that going on, but not so much on the PGA Tour, unfortunately. And you know, the golf courses are very similar over there. You know, they're quite similar
Yeah.
week in week out.
Yeah. Absolutely. Was there much of an emphasis that you found with the mental approach? Because you clearly were a baller, clearly strike the ball. How much of an emphasis on the mind and psychology was put on in your little world back then?
Yeah, good. Yeah, a lot actually. I mean, you had to let go. I mean, I'd get a little bit hot under the collar sometimes if it wasn't going my way, like anyone does, really. I mean, you know, unless you're, you know, the new breed of player that we're seeing coming through. You know, Marco, very calm,
Mm.
chilled, takes it on the chin really well. I was a bit like that sometimes, not all the time. There's I'm not gonna you know, float my own boat. Definitely not. I mean, remember hitting my putter over my head, I think, and put a split light down the end and the putt didn't go in or something like that. You know, I used to get a bit angry, you know, but it's, you know, stuff like that. You know, I think, you know, you get a lot more out of yourself if you're calm.
Yeah.
You definitely do. If you can suck it up and get on with it, you know, if you anger gets hold of you, I do think sometimes, I mean, it's very rare, like your Tyrrells and your Bob McIntyres and, you know, a couple of others that seem to thrive on it,
Hmm.
you know, or it is the kick in the backside that they need sometimes and it keeps them going. I used to be a bit like that, but, you know, you're liable for it to chuck a double in there if you're not careful afterwards, you
Mm.
know, hold it on to the next hole. But, yeah, for me, I was up and down a bit of a yo-yo. I was a bit like my personality, you know, crazy.
It's interesting. I mean, what's the point of talking about hindsight? But that would just touch on that John Deere classic. You watched that? Anyone watched the highlights of that? You were on it, weren't you? I mean, putts were going in. Was that another case of when you were called by Eddie, you were just sort of seeing lines and things were dropping? Did you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly the same thing, mate. Like literally, it was a big. I mean, I played a lot of practice rounds with the new world number one then, which was VJ Singh. He'd just overtaken Tiger, and VJ had this belly putter, and it was legal then. You know, I think Monty was using it.
Yep.
You know, and from 6 foot in, 10 foot in, you couldn't miss.
Yeah.
Couldn't miss. Honestly, I mean, yeah, I don't blame it. It was banned. I mean, I tried it, even though I was an okay putter. You know, I tried it, and it was like, well, I can't miss. I'm going to use it. Of course, why not? You know, it's foolish not to. So literally use that, and well, yeah, the putts just kept flying in. I was hitting it good again. Yeah, I literally just painting pictures. And probably the only time I didn't paint a good picture and didn't see it was when I hit a wayward one in the playoff, and that was only because I just didn't change my body angle, and my eyes wandered towards the flag when my body was set up right to play right at the green to leave myself what I had in the main, 70th hole that I played. And yeah, my eyes wandered, and then my body torqued and pulled it, and off it went, and give it a wave goodbye. And Mark Hensby sealed the deal. It was a shame, really.
Yeah, it certainly does. I suppose, again, sliding doors and all that. If you'd have won that, you'd have. What was the exemption back then? Was it a full year? Is over it?
Mate, they would have got in the Open.
Yeah.
That was definite. By all accounts, the Masters the next year. I'm not sure. I'm the PGA, obviously. Stuff like that. I mean, literally, mate, it's a long time ago, and I haven't got the best memory now. Anyway, amount of drugs I take for my epilepsy, so they calm your kind of memory bank a little bit. But yeah, it came with a lot of perks.
Yeah.
Win over there, gets you, like, obviously you can play the Champions Tour the first year. If you're a winner, you get to play the Champions, so you could go over there and play the first season, give that a ride if you so wanted. And that's always the saving grace, I'd be in a different situation right now thinking, well, I might as well go and get fit and let's have a go at it. You know what I mean? Shot to nothing. Can earn redo your pension. It's like a pension scheme for the oldies, isn't it? So it's like, I don't blame them.
Yeah. And speaking of fitness, were you a big golf fitness fanatic, or did you just play golf a lot?
I got a double chin for a reason. No, I wasn't huge. I was naturally big, fit. My dad just passed down good genes, strong. But, my fitness was, walking 36 holes a day as a kid. And I'm working on a building site, and doing tree surgery. So I was naturally strong, yeah, but when it came to fitness, I tried to get into it, but it never suited me, in the sense of every time I did fitness or I overexerted myself, I seemed to have the seizures. So I just backed off it.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. It's a massive, well, I don't know whether it was Tiger. He seemed to reinvent a lot of things, didn't he? When he burst onto the scene, including fitness and a mental dedication to the game. But I mean, you look at some of these lads now and what they stick out on social media. Marco's one, just off the top of my head. It's a big part of the modern game, isn't it? This
It's huge, man. It's
power.
huge. It's huge, and you need it. I mean, Joey, I don't know if you know Joey. He was a fitness trainer for VJ. He became fitness trainer for Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka.
Right.
You would have seen him. So he started training with me. First time was Pebble Beach AT&T Pro-Am, and VJ's like got hold of me and says, "Do you want my trainer to train you, John?" I went, "Yeah, all right, sounds good. Let's get into this." So he said, "All right, what time are you teeing off tomorrow?" I said 9 o'clock. He said, "Right." Joey goes, "I'll see you in the gym at 5. I went, "All right, blimey. Right, here we go then." So I get in there, and VJ's already done his warm up. I said, "What time do you get in here?" He said, "About 4. Oh, right, fair play. And funny enough, Mickelson was in there hitting the pads with Bones.
Right.
And they were kickboxing. Full on roundhouses, kickboxing, working the hips and getting rotation and speed, explosive and stuff like that. I was like, what on earth is going on here? And this was in the confines of Pebble Beach. And yeah, obviously I did that and stuff like that. And Yeah, it was good. You can see it's the right direction to go because you're seeing all these guys. I mean, Rory, pure example. Look how ripped he is. No stone unturned there. I mean, look at, like you just mentioned, Marco Penge. Phew. I mean, fit as a fiddle, and it ain't an ounce of fat on him.
No,
He's a baller as well. He's not built like me, but he's built. He's a a lot skinnier version of me, but all muscle. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah. When I saw him up at Carnoustie, we've spoke on the podcast. We've met a few times. He's from down this neck of the woods,
Mm.
and I was leaving on the Thursday, and he'd had his first round at Carnoustie, and gave him a hug, and I was like, he's ripped. He's just lean, and
Yeah, you can be that, but you have to be super flexible in this game as well.
I bet.
And you can't get too carried away with just pumping muscle because you're just working the wrong muscles.
Huh.
Yeah, it's not, that's not a golf swing. Being muscle bound is not a golf swing. You watch rugby players who are just like stocky and strong. You see them try and swing it. It's like quite funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's when they calm down, they relax and not doing the intense fitness, they can start swinging it like a normal person again.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you say, mate, it's flexibility is a massive thing in our sport.
Yeah, it's something Chris and I spoke about this week, what we're going to try and do during the winter. And mobility and flexibility for me, being 48, whether I look it or not, I know people joke about that, but this is still a 48-year-old body. And it's been around, the earth 48 years, and I get tired, my hips, I can really feel there's impingement. So you've got to be flexible. And certainly as you get older, if you want to try to continue doing what you used to do in the game of golf, you need to be able to move a little bit freer than
Well, you do, mate, because I mean, how many balls have you hit in your lifetime? How many balls has any pro hit in their lifetime? The hips, the knees, the back.
Uh-huh.
You got to think we're coming in at 100 mile an hour at the bottom, right? And we're stopping on a dime as well,
Yeah.
pivoting round a knee, putting all our weight on the, left hand side of your righty and stuff like this. This is why Tiger's had all his problems with his knee and back and stuff like that. I mean, guy worked probably harder than anyone else, fitness as well as hitting balls. So, look at him. I mean, there was another podcast, wasn't it? I think Billy Foster was on it. Has Tiger really fulfilled his potential? No, he hasn't. Definitely hasn't. Guy was a freak of nature. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a take on that. I think you're absolutely right. Can't even argue with that. But there's so many other players that are so good now. Whereas back in the day, don't know what your thoughts on this are. You had the leading lights of, whether it's the Hogans, whether it's the Nicholas, the Palmers, the players. And then there was everyone else. Tiger sort of set a bar and everyone went, all right, we need to get bigger, faster, stronger, more mentally strong. And he left them behind for a bit and they all slowly caught up. I mean, there was that year that he won 7 or 8 times, wasn't there?
Yeah.
You're right. If his body had played ball, so to speak, he probably would have won 20 plus majors. Easily.
Yeah. Easy, mate. Easy. I mean, the guy was on nether stratosphere. Literally, nether stratosphere. It's just a whole different level. And, not just me, but many other pros, have said it, older and wiser than me, just said, hey, what a phenomenal player he was. I mean, he just used to clip it off the top, no divots, shaping, he used to play games as well with other players, knowing full well he's got them by the short and curlies. He's able to, intimidate and say things and get them to push them even though they can't achieve it. And yeah, I mean, mate, the guy had every facet of the game covered. He was probably, yeah, he was the best in every facet. I mean, might be a bit wayward off the tee, but that was because he tried to hit it so hard.
Yeah.
That's what comes with that. But then after that, everything else, iron play, wedges, putting, clutch, unbelievable, chipping, oh, unbelievable, shot shaping, troubleshooting,
Yeah.
just all there. It was all there.
Yeah.
And then he had the brain, he had it between the ears.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous, unbelievable.
Yeah. No, yeah, he was. And you know what? We spoke to a few people that know him, met him, and there's an aura about him that is not with any other golfer out there.
Mm.
There's just something. It's his own brand.
Yeah.
It's his own. Yeah.
Oh, Mate, it is. I mean, you'd have spoken to Nico Colsarts about when he took him on at Medina, and obviously he was able to put his pants down and spank his bottom blue for that one, But it was like I remember meeting him, and the aura was there, and I sat down, and he asked me who I was, and I was John Moore, and I asked who he was just to take the mickey, and even though I knew full well who he was,
Get real.
and then just having he gave me a putting lesson. We had a road race, we had a food fight, all good. It's all fun and games, but he's a big kid.
Yeah.
He's a big kid, rightly so. And he didn't recognise me. What was it? I think we were at with Troon the other year, and I got his driver here. Actually, here it is. So yeah, here you go. One of my stashes. So I played a tournament, and it's actually his driver. I ended up buying the air cover, but but this is his. When I was with Nike, look at this. So you ain't gonna believe this. So look, lead tape round there.
Yeah.
Lead tape round there.
Right.
Yeah, I had lead tape on the back here, but I had to take a little bit off, right? But it's a 7.5 bent to like 6.8 or something like that, right? And same shaft we used to use an 86 gram shaft, extra stiff diamond hammer, way back when.
Yeah.
And literally turned up at, I think it was Deutsche Bank in Boston. It was blowing a hoolie. I was playing with Davis Love III and Zach Johnson, and I couldn't keep this ball down. It was just going too high, and I went into the truck. I said, "Mate, I said, I can't use that driver." I just come off a seizure like about a month previous, so I'm still a little bit battered. And I just, I said, "Well, all we got is Tiger's driver, John." I went, "He's playing this week, but if he, we got two of the same being in his bag." He said, "If he breaks his other driver, I'll have to come back and get this one off you." I went, "Yeah, fine." Did I give it back? Not a chance. I kept it. But could I hit it? Not a chance. It went about head high and dipped. I just couldn't, even though I was a strong guy, and unbelievable. So yeah, I got a piece of Tiger, and I went up to him. He didn't recognize me. I was tall, scrawny kind of guy with blue hair back then. And then all of a sudden I've turned up a bit of a bold, overweight kind of character. And he's looked at me, and I've got up to him, and he's like, "Whatever." I'm like, "Yeah, fair enough, mate. You ain't got a clue who I am." He's forgotten all about me. So he can't, he bumps into so many different people all the time. So he's bound to forget me.
There's not many people that have got your Somerset dulcet tones, though, John, is there? You're quite unmistakable.
I think a lot of them, they end up looking at me with two heads. They just go, "I don't even know what he's talking about." Not a Scooby-Doo, not a Scooby-Doo. It's just all over their heads, mate. All over their heads. Yeah. Some of the lingos that come out, and I got to behave myself on the golf course. Sometimes I got to say it a little bit more, the Queen's English, a little bit more refined and straight, just make sure everyone around the world can understand what I'm trying to say, instead of get too caught up in war, how best, and all this jazz. You know what I mean? Talking like a Wurzel,
Oh, good old Wurzel Gummidge. There's a name that a lot of the younger generation won't remember.
Yeah, I know. That was brilliant, wasn't it?
Aunt Sally.
Absolutely brilliant. Those were the days, mate. Rainbow, Wurzel Gummidge, Grot Bags, all that jazz. Loved it.
Yeah, Rod and Emu.
Oh yeah, I absolutely loved it, mate.
You know what? You're
absolutely
right. They were the days, actually.
Off to Button Moon. Follow Mr. Spoon, Button Moon.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going down the nostalgia 80s route now.
Oh yeah, well, the 80s. Thank God we got to live in that era. It was pretty cool.
It was, wasn't it? Before social media, which has got so many benefits, but that's another conversation for another day.
It's well over my head.
Yeah, I was at Sunningdale recently for the Seniors Open.
Oh yeah,
good guys there. Gary Wolstenholme trying to hit it, past the first cut of, past the heather, because he's not the longest guy on tour. Do you know much about Gary?
Yeah, well, mate, yeah.
What a character. It was funny because I didn't met him, and I know he'd done a podcast with Cookie Jar, and it was the practice round, and I just went up and spoke to him, and I couldn't stop him talking.
I know.
And he gave me his mobile. He said, "Oh, we'll have a chat on the podcast. Just come up and see me." And he was talking about anything and everything. And I said, I really enjoyed your time on Cookie Jar. He said that I didn't even get half it out. He said, you want stories? I've got stories for days. I went, you prepared to say them on a podcast? She went, yep, I'll tell you anything you want to know. Yeah, there's some great, still some strikers. I mean, poor Drake won it, didn't he?
Yeah,
Boy,
yeah.
yeah, he still hits it, that he sends the ball.
But there's a guy there, mate, who's just constantly looking for the next best thing,
Yeah,
completely and utterly addicted to the game, like I am, like most of us are, but literally willing to go the extra mile. And I mean, Podrick is wired differently. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take, just a minute listening to him to know that he's wired differently.
yeah,
But it's a lovely wire, I think. Me personally, I love it. I think it's full on entertainment. And you're going to learn a lot from Podrick, and he will tell you exactly what you need to wear, which is rare in this world. He isn't buttering it up. He's just going to tell you it straight. I love
yeah,
that.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And you watch him on the range, and he's full of little gimmicks and little moves and little feels and stuff like that. Where I've got a feel, but I always go back to the same feel. I won't be looking for something else because I know that already works.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Which he'll try loads of other things. Do you know what I mean? And it's all to gain an extra yard. And like I'll have three swings at full speed, and I know the fourth one's the fastest one.
yeah.
It's like, how do you know that? How do you know? He's done this whole collab on a launch monitor. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, fair enough. Wow, okay, I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah.
And how he moves his feet and stuff like that, and stepping into shots, and amazing. It is amazing, and he hits it a long way, doesn't he?
He
Still,
really does.
fair play to him.
I think on the 72nd hole at Sunningdale, his drive was 330 yards.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
After all that week's golf, loads of range work, and 4 rounds of golf, he was still sending it. It's absolutely striping it.
Yeah, he does, man. He definitely does.
We got a set of those speed sticks that he's associated with, and it feels like you're breaking every vertebrae in your back when you go after it. It doesn't feel right. But
No.
I think you got to work up to it somehow.
Yeah, well, I used to have in here. I was just spinning around it up in there. This used to be a simulator in here, but this is where I live.
Right.
It got too much. I had to just like knock it down and sell it off. I got less events or some at work, and I thought, well, I'll get rid of this, and it's taking up all my room, and this is where I live, And if you just before you start, this is, do you remember Weekend at Bernie's?
Yes.
Yeah, so I dressed him up like a Bernie kind of thing, and he's my little punch bag. Sometimes
Nice.
put the lights on, just give him a whack. But yeah, a bit frustrating. But anyway, yeah, it's yeah, you gotta love it, mate. You gotta love it.
So without name and number, where is home for you in terms of the part of the world?
Oh, I'm down in North Somerset, just outside Bristol, pretty much right on the coast, looking out over towards where Celtic Manor is.
Right.
So yeah, just lovely. Been here since I was 4 years old.
Oh, right. It's always been. Yeah.
Yeah, got into golf probably about 2 years later after that, going up at Ashton Court, where I think every person's gone and played, like me, Chris Wood, likes of Andrew Sherborne used to be local. Yeah, stuff like that. So yeah, we've all got the bug, mate, at some stage or another.
Yeah, because it's often gone overlooked, I think. Somerset's in your neck of the woods, producing decent golfers.
Yeah, I think we have. I mean, there's been loads. I mean, you had Colin Edwards, he was England captain and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
Walker Cup and stuff like this. And hell of a golfer alongside, Gary Wissenham and stuff. And then you had loads that got their stripes for their country and stuff, and then went on to bigger and better things in the pro ranks. I mean, Woody, he's at final qualifying right now, isn't he? So I'm wishing him all the best there. That'd be nice to see. It'd be a hell of a story to see him come back and get on tour, because I play with Woody, and he's got attributes of his game I wish I had. I'm sure he thinks the same when I play with him. He wishes that he had my driving. I wish I had his iron play and wedge play and putting, stuff like that. There's different things, but not everyone's got it all. There's only one person's really had that.
Yeah. It's interesting because I know you potentially got to be careful of choosing your words, but you look at someone like Tiger, who we've just talked about in great detail, and the stuff that came out from him as a little kid, hitting balls into, just silly little targets, and he was a child prodigy. Same could be said about Rory playing it on TV, Irish TV, into a what was it, a washing machine. Quality youth player, great junior, and just burst onto the scene. 1-1-1-1-1. And then he had that, what turned out to be, which sounds stupid when you say it, nearly 40 major dry spell.
Yeah.
You got any thoughts as to why that happened to such an undoubtedly quality talent?
Cool. Well, I mean, he's the only one that can answer that. I
Yeah.
mean, is it? Would he probably just say, "Look at the draw. It just is what it is. Lots of talent coming through. Kind of just rub of the green. Didn't happen." I mean, I could pick into super detail and get really picky, and look at weaknesses that might suit certain places. People have talked about, and you probably get sick to death here. Your weakness is your wedge play. It probably was. It was to a degree. You know what I mean? But maybe some of the courses he was going to, you had to be an amazing wedge player, and he probably didn't have that box properly ticked. Like a Dustin Johnson knew it was totally his worst part of his game, went away, worked on it, became world number one, won the Masters and the US Open. Thank you very much. I don't know, mate. I don't know. I've gone round with Rory so many times.
Yeah.
Harry's on the bag.
Yeah.
And Harry, I've known Harry for ages. Harry came to stay with me when I was in Miami, so I've known Harry a lot longer than I have Rory.
Right.
But when you go out and you watch Rory, he's now developed. He's a whole round game. I mean, he's taken a lot more off the spin on his wedges. You could see that he's hitting a lot more calmer wedges into greens, so he's able to control the spin. I remember watching him where I knew he was a little bit out of sorts. He drove it like a dream, like he normally does, hit the ball like a dream. It was a close house, British Masters, and he'd have wedge into every green. He was just hitting it miles, dead straight miles. And the wedges were just backing up 20 feet here, there, and everywhere. There was no real control. And I could see that was his kind of weakness, even though he had a huge asset in many ways, shapes, and forms. He had a great short game. Under the cosh, he was good as well. He was great when it was all on the line. Seeing him win a congressional, that first US Open, was freaky, wasn't it? Be honest, it was freaky. It was absolutely freaky. I mean, you're just looking at another guy and go, "Well, here's the next Tiger."
Exactly.
It was just chalk and cheese compared to anyone else. It was like, "Oh, is a new standard of player again."
Yeah.
Wow, we've got another bloke come along. So, but it looks like he's had his best year to date. He said he's probably on record his best ever year.
Yep.
Which it is, and and it looks like he sorted out quite a bit of his game in different aspects. And fair play to him. Fair play to him.
Yeah, it was strange as we talk about, me and Chris, and I saw a lot of golfers too. He was still winning throughout those 11 years, year in, year out, but he just had a major dry spell, didn't he? Which was odd for him. It wasn't like he stopped winning altogether, but there we go.
It is, mate. I mean, it just happens. I mean, I suppose you just can't put your finger on it, but the thing is, you could lose your pizzazz for the game by not achieving what other people are wanting you to achieve. You get caught up in all that fiasco. He never did that. He believed. He whitewashed all the people that said, "Oh, what are you doing with Harry on the bag?" No, Harry's all right. Don't worry about it. It's all good. And he's right. Everyone's quiet now about Harry, which is great.
Yeah,
absolutely great. Because Harry didn't deserve that.
No,
Harry's a good, straight arrow, good guy, great friend of Rory. You're seeing that more and more now. People are just pulling in a nice, friendly character on their bag because they tick all the boxes. Someone to lean on, someone to tell a few own truths. Someone to have a bit of banter around the golf course with. Then the professionalism as well, knowing where they are and what they're doing. Companion to travel on the road, friendly face. And there's some great characters out there. I mean, the caddies are the best characters, no doubt about it. And Harry's one of them as well.
Yeah, you just said it so right. He did not deserve that, and clearly now we're seeing that everyone should just get their mouth shut all along, because look at what they've managed to do this year.
They've all got to eat humble pie now, haven't they?
Yeah,
fair play. And I'm happy as Larry for that.
Yeah,
happy as Harry. Happy as Harry.
So that was a relatively good place for us to kind of cut off the conversation that I had with John at that point. But so much more is to come. So we really do hope that you enjoyed this one. We really hope that you are going to tune in for part 2, where we talk more things golf, more experiences, and we drill down into something that John's working on right now and trying to really push and promote, and that is his association with and working alongside John Powell Golf. A wonderful element of the conversation that we finish on. But yeah, really good laugh, really good crack. And we're very much hoping that you did enjoy this and looking forward to, and please tune in. If you did like it, please give us a review. We do say it a lot, and the reviews are kind of dried up just a little bit. It would really mean the world to both Chris and I if that positive feedback, of which we're actually getting so much on direct messages through Instagram, that's made our day, when people that we don't even know just say things like, that was a really refreshing approach to the way you interviewed that person. And, we never set out to kind of have this feedback. We didn't know where it was going, but this positive reinforcement keeps us going. It keeps us on our toes, and it really helps us. So very much appreciate all those that take the time to listen to our musings, our thoughts on golf. Of course, when this has been released, not a lot is going on in the world of golf. The PGA Tour has pretty much come to an end. There's bits and pieces going on, we know that, and the DP World Tour is about to kind of move on to Australia. So it's never really fully over. But I guess the main conclusion has already happened to both of those tours. And Chris and I are very much in a planning phase, looking forward to what's going to be happening in 2026. We've got some pretty big plans, some awesome stuff. And I know people often say that we can't quite contain the amount of things that we're looking at doing. So with the support of people that we're working very closely with, and with some of the new friends that we've made in the world of golf, we'd like to think that come January, and certainly the start of what is the traditional golf season in April, we will really be hitting the ground running. So continue to listen, continue to tell us what you think, and we very much are grateful for all of the above. So till next week, which will be part 2 of the John E. Morgan interview, chat, let's say. Have a great time, enjoy the rest of your week, and if you are in little old England, where it's grey skies, blue skies, then back to grey, a little bit of snow and a little bit of rain, just enjoy whatever you're doing and keep on working on that winter off-season maintenance, fitness, swing changes, whatever it is you need to do. Keep going with it. We'd love to hear about what you're doing. And Chris and I are very much firmly in the camp of working on our games, and even beginning to start to really focus in on that fitness element, so I can actually get a few more yards out of the swing to keep up with the youngster as I head very fastly and swiftly towards technically senior golf. Ugh, disgusting. Anyway, have a good one, guys and girls. Speak to you and see you soon.